I want a divorce. He told her via text message, how did he get here? Why did he get here? 7 years old, had his first Sunday school crush. She had rosy cheeks, brown eyes, a cute smile. Then a fascination with Kelly Kapowski, Saved by the Bell. At 10 years old, it was the Pink Ranger, and then Baywatch lifeguards, the female ones. And the ultimate book of JCPenney ads, and racy TV show scenes that would sit on his mind, random sitcoms he would feast on in isolated moments at grandma's. Next, there were the ladies in the adult comics he shouldn't have been reading in the back of the comic book shop. He carefully scanned every page while nervously checking his peripheral. His appreciation had developed into an unhealthy infatuation with physical beauty. It didn't stop there. He was becoming a man at 12 years old. Dial-up internet was released, so he picked up a mouse and left behind the remote control, peered outside the front house window just to double check no one was home. It was just him and the world wide web of this fantasy that would increase and spread. Pornography, compliments of Hugh Hefner's legacy. So he typed, explored, and felt the motions he never felt prior. High-quality images glared from his 16-inch screen. From that moment on a Dell desktop, his curiosity popped off with imaginations of topless women. He dived in and enjoyed this outrageous feeling that surged through his brain. He knew it was wrong, but didn't know that pleasure is often a liar. Pleasure will claim to serve you, but in the end, you will bow shamefully and call it sire. From that point on, he forgot how to see, how to live without feeding on fantasy, how to appreciate beauty without the sexuality. Sometimes he could, sometimes he had mental purity, but he could no longer claim the ability to go more than a few days without this digital drug. He had become super glued to one part of her being, while her true beauty is what he defaulted to ignoring. Fast forward to the invention of smartphones, which led to more frequent dumb actions. A young man very much in love with Jesus, but distracted by his secret addiction. Now he turns 19, a young adult, but very much still a child, with an insatiable appetite to explore a lustful realm that never keeps its promises. Because lust promises everything, but not for you, for itself. I said lust promises everything, but not for you, for itself. It always starts off innocently, doesn't it? Once upon a time, maybe age 8 or 7, having a crush on a girl didn't mean he craved her body. It meant he deeply admired her person, maybe her smile, her laugh, her humor, without it resulting in masturbation. Whoops, we're in church. Did I just say that? He prayed, but it didn't leave. He fasted, it's still attached. He took extreme measures, living in a house with 5 other guys. He even unhinged his room door to create more accountability. Installed filters on devices, even tried to ask a fellow brother for help once or twice, but what he failed to realize is the key element he lacked in his life was transparency. He tried everything to be free, but even in his search for freedom, he was fighting lust secretly. So he tried harder. God, I'll do better this time. Just watch. Thinking God rejected him for every moment spent swimming in fantasy. But lust is never happy. So he went from site to site, photo to photo, Instagram, Facebook, phone chat lines, private messaging online. He was out of control, but everyone at church thought he was under control. Now, age 23, he meets an angel for his first time. They first met officially at the Sacramento Capitol building on a crisp fall season day. The sun beamed and lit her brown hair, flowing like calm waves. The pink in her sweater smelled like a Victoria's Secret, he claimed, though she was feet away. He was stunned by her smile and entrapped by the purity of her person. 2 years later, they married. She'll surely solve my lust problem, he was so certain. Then at age 25, he marries this incredible bride and was sure his lust issues would all pass magically once the knot was tied. But after 3 months, there he lay, in the middle of the night as his bride slept, back on the same safari, eating the same poisonous apple on his iPad. Poisonous apple, iPad. So distracted by his own hand, he didn't have time to hold hers. I'll never do it again, he told her. And himself, as she held her face in tears, broken, knowing the man she trusted with her whole heart would betray her, would long for women that were not meant for him. The till death do us part guy was slowly, emotionally killing the queen that he gave that vow to. With tears grazing her cheeks as they left her eyes, she asked why, his heart pounding as she showed him the sights she found on his device. I'll never do it again, he promised, because it hurt her. But a month later, there he was again, drooling over an iPad while she slept late at night. How are you doing with looking at stuff, she'd ask, and his lies would multiply. I'm doing fine, he'd say, with an irritated reply. Could it be that his longing, gazing, craving for image after image trained his spirit to do the same to his wife, swipe up to remove and to move on to the next image? Then the spiritual death made him part from her after 5 years of marriage and 2 daughters later. I want a divorce, he said through text messages of all places. What a fool, right? An incredible wife, 2 beautiful kids. I mean, treasure is what people search for, not what they get rid of. I want a divorce. And I told myself I never used that line until it became mine. You see, there was once a time when the woman I dreamed of as a young boy didn't have perfect lips, eyes, or shaped hips. She was modest but beautiful. She was humble but confident. She was shy but honest and maybe a little shorter than I. At one time, the one of my dreams did not give in to my every wish. Sometimes she argued with my logic. I didn't dream of a woman who only came to life with a click, click. I dreamt of one with a heartbeat, not someone I could control on a whim, but someone to breathe real life with. But pornography trained my brain to never be satisfied with one woman. I Want a Divorce did not start in my late 20s. It started at age 10 with that first encounter, not with the woman of my dreams, but with the ones of my fantasy. I drooled over tight jeans, but didn't understand that wasn't his purpose for crafting her jeans. He's a genius, far too brilliant to create a being cheap enough to be fully accessible through one tap or click. At 28 years old, now separated from my wife, I was walking into the biggest setup of my life. A setup titled, Confess Your Sins One to Another that You May Be Healed. Honesty overtook me. Transparency swept my heart back to the reality God made me for. Community was no longer distant. For the first time, I admitted in my weaknesses and found strength through it. See, if you walk out of a dim room and into the sunlight and back into the room, you'll then realize how dark the dim room was. But if you step back into the dim room too long, darkness will cause your vision to readjust. I won't let my vision readjust. I love the sunshine too much. That's what my freedom feels like. So I followed through with divorce. I followed through with it. But I didn't divorce my wife. I divorced my counterfeit life. I filed for divorce from my old man, my old ways, and while lost in this circular maze, God held my hand and said, I'm with you always. Yes, he held my hand. I mean, I'm a grown man, but I have a little boy heart who just wants his dad to cheer him on. My wife wasn't even an image of Christ, though I was unfaithful to her. She said, I still love, I still believe in you. There's still hope for you. There's still hope for us. You see, lust is an illusion built upon fantasy. But freedom was also my fantasy. But then something happened. Freedom was no longer something that looked so good that I could never get. Finally, freedom is my reality.